Image copyright AFP image caption Mr. Mugabe made his first public appearance since the takeover on Friday. Regional branches of Zimbabwe's ruling ZANU-PF party have joined growing calls for President Robert Mugabe to resign. The move comes ahead of a protest march to be held in the capital Harare on Saturday, fully supported by the country's military, which staged a takeover on Wednesday. War veterans until recently loyal to the 93-year-old president and liberal groups have also urged him to quit. Earlier, Mr. Mugabe made his first public appearance since the takeover. Mr. Mugabe had been under house arrest for days, but attended a graduation ceremony on Friday, handing out degrees. The army made its move after a power struggle over his successor. Mr. Mugabe sacked Vice President Emerson Mnangagwa last week, apparently to pave the way for his wife Grace Mugabe, who is 4 decades younger than him, to take over the presidency instead. The military said it was engaging with Mr. Mugabe and would advise the public on the outcome of talks as soon as possible. Who is saying Mr. Mugabe should quit? At least 8 out of 10 regional party branches voted on Friday evening for Mr. Mugabe to resign as president and party secretary. In an unprecedented broadcast, several regional leaders appeared on state TV saying that he should quit. They also called for Grace Mugabe to resign from the party, and for Mr. Mnangagwa to be reinstated in the party's Central Committee. The party's members agreed to mobilize support for and attend Saturday's rally. The party is planning to hold a special Central Committee session over the weekend to discuss the crisis. Meanwhile, in a statement issued on Friday evening, the Zimbabwe Defense Forces ZDF said it had been approached by organizers of the rally, which it described as a solidarity march. The statement went on: ZDF is therefore advising the nation that for as long as the planned march remains orderly, peaceful, and without hate speech and incitement to cause violence, it fully supports the march. Image caption The war veterans used to be loyal supporters of the president. Earlier, Christopher Musvangwa, the leader of the influential War Veterans Association, once loyal to Mr. Mugabe, called for a huge turnout at the rally. "We want to restore our pride, and tomorrow is the day we can finish the job which the army started," he said. "There's no going back about Mugabe. He must leave." Liberal groups opposed to the president have also backed the protest. The leader of last year's This Flag protests, Evans Mwariri, urged people to turn up. What happened when Mr. Mugabe appeared in public? Mr. Mugabe's attendance at the graduation is an annual tradition, but he was not expected this year. BBC Online Africa editor Joseph Winter says the president was allowed to be there partly to keep up the pretense that the military have not staged a coup, and partly because of a genuine, deeply felt respect for him going back more than 40 years. Media playback is unsupported on your device. Media caption Mr. Mugabe wore blue and yellow robes and a mortarboard hat. Mr. Mugabe opened the ceremony at Zimbabwe's Open University, where he is chancellor. One of the people he conferred a degree upon was Marichi Wenga, the wife of the general who detained him on Wednesday, the state broadcaster reports. Grace Mugabe was not present. It had been thought she had left the country, but it emerged on Thursday that she was at home with Mr. Mugabe. How did we get here? Soldiers seized the headquarters of Zimbabwe's national broadcaster ZBC on Wednesday, and loud explosions and gunfire were heard. Major General Sibusiso Moyo then read out a statement on national television, assuring the nation that President Mugabe and his family were safe. Media playback is unsupported on your device. Media caption Zimbabweans react to the news that troops had taken control. The military was only targeting what he called criminals around the president, he said, denying that there had been a coup. On Thursday, Mr. Mugabe was pictured smiling as he took part in talks with an army general and South African government ministers at State House, but sources suggested he might be resisting pressure to resign. What has the reaction been across the world? U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson urged a quick return to civilian rule, but also said the crisis was an opportunity for Zimbabwe to set itself on a new path. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Geng Shuang said Beijing was hoping for stability and a peaceful, appropriate resolution. UK Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson warned against a transition from one unelected tyrant to another. Botswana's President Ian Khama said regional leaders did not support Mr. Mugabe staying in power. Alpha Conde, the chairman of the African Union, a key regional bloc, said the takeover seems like a coup and demanded a return to constitutional order. Uneasy calm in Mugabe's village. B. Stanley Kwenda, BBC News. Coup tomato. Get to President Mugabe's rural home. You drive along the Robert Mugabe Highway. It's probably one of the best maintained roads in Zimbabwe, like driving on a carpet. Along the way you are greeted by a plaque erected in his honor. Kutama is a small and tightly connected village where everyone knows each other. You can't really tell if they've been rattled by the current political crisis. As we arrived there was an air of uncertainty. Mr. Mugabe is respected here to many, hes a father and a friend. A 65-year-old neighbor of his told me he's kind, hes a good man and he understands people's plight. The man goes to St. Francis Xavier Roman Catholic Church with Mr. Mugabe, a devout Christian, whenever he visits. He never demands special treatment. He visits people to check on the welfare, said the man at his compound. He said he supports the move by the army, saying it's meant to correct a broken system. If his term goes out then there's nothing wrong, he said.